Goal settings make the foundation for building a robust performance management system in an organization. On our today's episode of Top Talk, we will be taking a deep dive into the goal setting stage of performance identification process. Please join hands in welcoming our today's guest, Mr. Jacob, the Group CHRO of the Malabar Group, to talk about the aspects of goal setting stage. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much, man. I'm most happy to be on this in this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. Before we move on to our discussion segment, let me take a few moments to introduce Mr. Jacob. Mr. Jacob is an HR professional with a rich experience of over 25 years globally. His experience are varied across various HR domains, including consulting, organizational development, talent management, leadership development, employee engagement, learning and development, compensation and benefits, change management, just to name a few. Before joining the Malabar Group as the Group CHRO, Mr. Jacob has worked with eminent companies like Columbia Asia, Apollo Hospitals Enterprise Limited, Emirates Airlines in Dubai, Feedback Ventures, and Oberoi Realty. Mr. Jacob has received several national and international awards like the most influential HR leader in India by World HR Congress 2017, the HR Leadership Award at the Asia Pacific Summit 2011, HR Professional of the Year 2012, just to name a few. Thank you so much, sir, for joining today. And without any delay, we will start our conversation.
Thank you so much.
So, so the first thing that I would like to ask you is, in your opinion, should goal settings be a collaborative process between the managers and the employees? And what will be the benefit if it becomes a collaborative process?
See, I think in the basics of any organization for excelling is the fact that your manager and you agree and talk to each other and agree that this is what I'm supposed to do for the year. So when it becomes a collaborative effort, there is not only ownership at both levels, but there is also the fact that the manager or the supervisor needs to provide support to his subordinate or to his direct report in order to excel in their role. So what is organizational ethos all about? Is basically all about people coming together to work for a common goal. And this common goal can only be achieved if there is a connect between 2 or 3 people who work together and how the structure works in the organization. So what is key is the fact that, yes, as a manager, I need to know what is the output expected of me during this particular year. And in order for me to achieve and agree upon what the goals are for me for this particular year, I need to have a conversation with my manager, agree on what is it that we both need to be doing, what is the support that my manager will provide to me, and accordingly how I need to work in the first 6 months and in the next 6 months. So to sum up this, to sum it up, I think a collaborative effort not only ensures cooperation, but it also helps in terms of familiarization, relationship building, and the fact that yes, I have someone who's going to support me, and the fact that I need to deliver and I need to excel in what in excel in the KPIs or targets that have been set for myself. So when you do it in a collaborative way, there is a lot of discussion, there is ownership at both levels, and the fact that yes, my manager or my supervisor also will ensure that they support me in helping me achieve my goals. So so I think a collaborative effort is nothing like it when you have a honest dialogue, a honest conversation, because when you set goals and when you talk about it realistically, you can take you can look at the fact that yes, I need support, I'll be able to achieve this goal, or this is not a realistic goal. All these things come out in a conversation. So I think practically when 2 people converse together, it makes a lot of difference, and especially that way the goals are agreed better and you're able to deliver better.
Great insights that you shared, not only from like the perspective of one side that is important, but it is also important to take into consideration the perspectives of both the sides. And through conversation, there are various other aspects that come into the discussion at that point in time, which can also be taken into consider during the goal setting. Rightly said. So the next thing that I would like to ask you is, how important is goal cascading and the need to tie every employee's goal to an organizational objective? Like, if we do this process, is it always effective and practical to do this?
Yeah, I think in an ideal scenario, if you look at it, everybody needs to understand what are the sum of the parts in an organization. If you work in isolation and in silos, the organization never moves forward. So every year, mature, robust organizations set 3 or 4 themes for that particular year. Like, for example, it can be on new expansion, it can be on people, it can be on any 2 other variables. It can be on costs, it can be on productivity. But those are the 4 themes or 4 goals which will run across the organization. And when people understand that these are the 4 goals right up to the last man standing in the organization, then they know that what is it that they're doing in order to fulfill the larger term interest of the organization, the larger term aspect of enterprise growth. And that can only happen when there is a lot of effort made in communicating the same, making people familiar with what the goals of the organization are. So then you make people feel proud that they work for an organization which ensures that there is communication across all levels. You also make people have a sense of ownership in terms of what they do and what is it that I do which adds up to the big picture. But unfortunately, most organizations, what happens is that there are a few people at the think tank top level who think through this, and efforts are not really made to cascade this down right down to the last man standing. As I said, forums such as a corporate communication, a newsletter, or an email, or all of that is certainly not enough in today's context. You need to be much more personalized. Managers have to act as champions for the organizational cause. Managers have to communicate not only through town hall meetings, but various other forums by which every employee gets to understand what the organization is doing. And when he or she gets to understand what the organization is doing, then they feel valued, they feel that they're communicated to, they understand the plans of the organization, and they are not left isolated. So when you leave, why doesn't organizational rhythm happen is because people work in parts, there's isolation, and the fact that, many of these departmental, what I would say, harmony between departments is kind of disjointed. So then what happens is that people really don't feel a sense of pride, don't really feel a sense of ownership. They feel that, why should I do this when the organization is treating me like this? I do not even get to know what the basics are happening in the organization. I'm getting to read things from outside, from social media outside, or my friends are calling me, or somewhere or other I get to see what's happening. So definitely, I think the effort has to see. It's all about relationships. It's all about emotional bonding. It's all about emotional connecting. So that can only happen when the entire organization is very clear that yes, these are the 4 themes and what efforts are made to communicate down the line. Then everybody is clear that this is what they're doing and how it helps build organizational growth. So definitely, I think the more you communicate, the more you ensure that people understand what the plans of the organization are and how it plans to grow. All of that has a huge bearing on individual contribution plus team contribution, which enables you to get overall success for enterprise growth.
Great insight shared, because not many organizations, as you mentioned, that in practicality does not ensure the communication, the flow of communication that should happen to the employee, right? As you mentioned, that many employees get to know the information about their organization from the social media or from outside world, which shouldn't be the case in this case.
Exactly.
Yeah, rightly said. So the next thing that I would like to ask you is, according to you, in terms of goal settings, are sub-goals essential to set effective goals for the employees? Like, does defining an objective or a goal by sub-goals will make it more effective for the employees and all the other people in the organization?
See, I think this question should more be looked about in terms of, am I clear in terms of what is the output expected of me? So if I'm clear about what the output is expected of me, how do I define that in terms of making it, in black and white to the employee, so that he or she knows that, yes, these are the goals I need to achieve, and this is how my goal contributes to the overall success of my department through discussions that I have while goal setting, etc. But yes, there will certainly be a need where some goals may be more specific, and they need to be broken down across according to the hierarchy of the organization and according to different levels of people in the organization. To give you To give you an example, we are in the gems and jewelry business, and the goals of the showroom level obviously will have to be broken down at the showroom level into goals which are made for each level, for the hierarchy in the organization, and up to the lowest level, where in the chain of people who work in the retail organization, to ensure that they understand what the goals are. Like the sales, obviously the showroom head will be responsible for the overall sales of the showroom, but when that is broken down in the sub goals, it accordingly becomes different goals for different levels of people who work within the sales hierarchy, within the non-sales hierarchy. So it's all about the clarity of that goal and how that clarity of that goal is communicated to the people who are expected to achieve that goal, and where these goals need to be made more clearer. Obviously, it has to be what I would say, divided into sub goals, so that people understand its impact, and there has to be weightage given to those sub goals, so that people understand that yes, this is a goal which carries so much of weightage, and in order to ensure that it means that there is more clarity, I need to divide it into sub goals so that I'm able to achieve the maximum in terms of the overarching goal that has been set at the topmost level or at the retail level, in the same example that I gave you.
Right. So first, according to you, it should be clear, like, what is the result that we are expecting, right? Based on the result that we are expecting, then we can break down the goals so that it becomes more clear to the person of how they can achieve it.
Exactly. See, your goals have to be smart, in terms of it has to be specific, it has to be measurable, it has to be, it has to be achievement oriented, there has to be results, and it has to be time bound. Right. So that's the reason why you say these are smart goals. And everybody, like for example, as a departmental head, I mean, if I was a showroom head of say one branch, it's not enough that I know only the goals for my branch, but I need to know how my goals contribute to the larger goals of the organization. Right. So then only, yes, I know that, yes, we are expanding, we are opening so many new showrooms, and the existing showroom, this is the target set for this showroom, this is what needs to be done, these are the sub goals. Then there is clarity, and I'm using the word, there's organizational rhythm, and people clearly know what they need to do. And if I do this, this is what is expected, this is what will be achieved, is what everybody across the organization will understand.
Right. This will ensure more clarity and thus greater achievement of goals. So the next question that I would like to ask you, sir, is how should zero target goals be measured for performance in an organization? By zero target goals, I mean the goals that are, lesser the better. For example, customer complaints, or in case of banks, like we see the errors, the lesser the errors in the documentation, the greater is the score for the employee, right? So like the zero target goals, how should be approached in an organization?
See, for example, I mean, I look at this approach very differently. See, there are areas where you cannot have zero targets, whether it is errors or whether it is customer complaints or so, because unless you are able to unless there is more reporting, and unless that gets reported, only then can you really innovate and can you improve your customer service. So some of these zero goals from a process perspective don't really help the organization, because then people will work towards trying to hide the actual truth, trying to ensure that that customers don't give the their feedback is fudged. So you're allowing the culture of the organization, the fabric of the organization, to degrade by saying that we will tolerate a zero we will have zero tolerance on customer complaints, we'll have zero tolerance on errors. That is actually counterproductive to the organization. Where zero tolerance needs to be exercised is on things like, I will have zero tolerance on theft, I will have zero tolerance on integrity issues, I will have zero tolerance on sexual abuse, I will have zero tolerance on things like that, which is which has an impact on behavior, negative image of the organization, all of that. Yes, on those you can have zero tolerance. But on customer complaints, errors, there has to be some level of that. Only then can you pick those up, innovate, and come out with newer ways of working and newer means of understanding the process of what the customer complaints are. Is there a deficiency in training? Is there a deficiency in some of the other processes that I'm working in the organization? So all of that will ensure will ensure that there is an ethos of collaboration, there is an ethos of yes, I need to report things for the betterment of the organization. So that is how I will view it. But otherwise, for me, zero tolerance in some of these processes don't really mean anything, because you're pushing people into to hide process, to hide actual ways of ways of working, and they'll only concentrate on outcome to achieve the outcome somehow or other. So that actually discourages good organizational ethos to a large extent.
A very nice point made by you, sir, that when you tell people that this goal is zero target goal, it kind of demotivates them and kind of makes them defensive, right? That I won't show my organization what is actually happening. And that is
See, I can give you a good example. I worked in the airline industry. We used to have zero tolerance for cabin crew on any theft from duty free. It was zero tolerance, because obviously that is something that cannot be encouraged. That pilferage or on board the aircraft, zero tolerance we will have for this thing. But we never had zero tolerance for service related errors that cabin crew make on the aircraft, because that will help us to train them better. That will help us to understand insights into what are the areas which are not working well, where we need to concentrate on. So this is a classic example of zero tolerance on duty-free pilferage in the aircraft and zero tolerance on service-related errors.
Right. Absolutely got your point. So the next question that I would like to ask you is, like, we have heard that, it is always good to have goals that are measurable so that it becomes easier for the people to also understand how they are doing, and also for the organization to understand how its employees are faring. So according to you, should all goals be measurable? And is there a way where, some parameters or measurable parameters can be incorporated in the subjective goals so that they have certain points of measurements which will be effective for both the employees as well as the organization to evaluate?
I think, to put it simplistically, what gets done has to get measured in the organization. So anything that gets done from a goal perspective has to get measured. If it cannot be measured, it should be removed as a goal. Because obviously then why should you put the effort to do and to achieve the output if it cannot be measured? So I think what gets done has to get measured. There has to be a way of obviously there are quantitative and qualitative goals, but there has to be a way to measure goals and sub goals. Only then can the person really work on achieving the output, and he or she knows that yes, this goal constitutes so much of weightage and this is how it will be measured. So there is that intensity. We are all human, we think human, and end of the day there is in our mind, the philosophy of I'd like to do a good job, I'd like to get a good rating. All of this works on the mind of most employees. And that can only happen if there is a way to measure the goals that have been set. If there is no way to measure a particular goal, that should not be on the list of goals that are to be achieved. It should be taken off the list.
So in case of subjective goals, where it is very difficult to find points of measurement, right? Because those are subjective in nature. So there must be certain parameters to it which can be incorporated, which will assure that these goals are also kind of, can be put into the measurable category. So how can that be approached?
See, when you look at, there are, you have to ensure that the weightage of your goals, there has to be a weightage for the goals that you put.
Yes.
In addition to that, every goal should have a qualitative, quantitative, or there has to be a measure by which through some behavior, like for example, there may be a target which is expected to be achieved for a quantitative goal, but for a qualitative goal, there may be a measure of behavior which has to be observed. So if the measure of behavior is observed and that has led to a better way in which that competency was displayed from a qualitative perspective, I think that's a way of measuring it. In addition to that, I think there are various ways by which organizations, they have to go a little in depth into ensuring that they get feedback from others who work with this particular employee. They get feedback from customers. So these are all ways by which there is an extended parameter of measurement from a qualitative perspective by getting other people involved, feedback, and how their behaviors were in terms of how they displayed their behaviors in terms of achieving that particular goal. So all of this add to ensuring that there is a way of measuring that particular goal.
Great. So subjective goals can, as you mentioned, like feedback plays a very important role in measuring the subjective goals, right? For ensuring that those goals are properly measured in the organization.
To a large extent, yes, we should try to make it as objective as possible, but we don't live in an ideal world where everybody writes the, KRIs in the English that it should be written, things like that. So the only way of doing it is that we need to ensure that in some way that goal has to be measurable, whether it is through a behavioral outcome or whether it is through feedback, or if it's a quantitative goal, it becomes easier because then there is a measurable target that you can look at. So this is my view on how do you ensure that the gray in terms of goals which are set in gray are measured to some extent.
Great insight shared, sir. Thank you so much for your time today. It was such a learning experience for me. I got to learn so much from you, because most of the time people don't, put into the thought into how to make the subjective goals measurable, or what are the problems and what are the actual the practicalities and the things that are put into theory in terms of goal settings. I think you made a very clear point on what can and what needs to be done to make the goal setting process so effective in an organization. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much. My pleasure interacting with you, and I hope it's been useful and value add in terms of the questions that you had. Thank you once again. Been a pleasure.
Thank you.